Yes, great. Good evening, everyone. We'll get started. I'm going to share my screen. So what did we do last? Do you remember? What did we do in the last session? We saw an example of, let me see, loop. Yes, Anku. Okay, so we started, we started using for loop, isn't it? And this was the last example we did yesterday. So yesterday we spoke about range, right? And we spoke about when to use range, correct? When we have to generate series of values. So range will help us to generate series of values. Okay, and range can have 3 values or 2 or 1, correct? If it has 3 values, it means you are having start value, end value, and increment. Okay, if we have 2 values, it means we are doing start and end. Default increment is 1. And if we have 1 value, that means we are doing only the ending value. So let me generate, say, I'm going to write a program to generate odd numbers, right? So we'll say generate 10 odd numbers. Okay. So we'll use, we are generating 10 odd numbers, isn't it? So we need to print odd numbers. How do I make odd numbers? So I'm going to say for I in range, and I give 10. So when I give range 10, it's going to generate values from 0 to 9, right? It's, it's going to generate values from 0 to 9, right? Now, when you say 0 to 9, okay, we got 10 numbers. So loop is going to run 10 times. That's fine. But how do we generate the odd number? Can we create a formula based on I? Can we create a formula based on I? If not, we'll have to take a new variable. Okay. But can we do it using I? Let's see if we can come up with a formula. So hint is when I is 0, you should get 1, right? Because first odd number is 1. So when I is 0, you should get 1. When I is 1, you should get 3. When I is 2, you should get 5. Okay. So can you generate a formula? When it is 3, you should get 7. I think you can generate a formula, right? We can say, okay, 2 times I plus 1, correct? 2 times I is 2 into 0, 0 plus 1, 1. So it matches first term. Second term, 2 into I, 2 into 1 plus 1. So 2 into 1 is 2 plus 1, 3. 2 into 2, 4 plus 1, 5. Correct? It matches. So we can directly, okay, say print 2 into I plus 1. Okay, and we will be able to generate first 10 odd numbers. Okay, so how do we know we got 10 odd numbers? Okay, how do we know we got 10 numbers? Because range is going to print 10 times. Range is going to print 10 times. So you're going to get 10 values for sure. But how do we know that these are odd numbers? That's where formula will help us. Okay. So now you can check 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. Correct? Are these 10? Probably you can check. Okay. So we are able to generate 10 odd numbers using for loop. So this is how range works. Okay. Now let's look at a couple of examples. I want to generate a pattern, let's say. Okay. Okay. So before I generate, let's print a simple star. Okay. So I'm going to print a simple star using print star. Okay. When I run it, you will get star here. Correct. Now let me print. I want to print the star 5 times. So simply what we do is we will create a loop, right? So for I in range 5, this is going to print star 5 times. I have to put this inside for loop. Okay, so you get 5 stars. Now I want to print these 5 stars in one single line. I want to print all these 5 stars in one single line. What do we do? What do we do? Anyone? I want to print this star in one single line. Okay, so we have an option called END. Okay, now see every print, okay, every print has a default new line. That's why when we print something, it prints in new line, isn't it? Every time you do print, it prints in new line. So that means every print has a new line. Okay, but here we don't want print to have new line. Okay, we don't want print to print in new line. We want print to print in same line, but it's inbuilt. Okay, that's how it is designed. So what do? We have to undesign, right? So the new line which is invisible, we have to first make it visible, isn't it? We have to first make it visible so that, okay, so that we can delete it. Okay, so there is something called as end command. Okay, by default, every print has a new line command. Okay, so by default, every print has an end command. Okay, and end command, okay, will have new line by default. So that's why this is invisible. Okay, this is automatically added. So what we did, we made it visible first. Something which is invisible, we have to make it visible only, then you can edit it. So this is by default, this is added in every print statement. Okay, by default, so we don't even see it, but you can make it visible using command. Now you see it's the same thing. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to delete this new line and instead print space. So see, now all the stars came in same line. So this is how you can remove that default new line from the print. Okay, this is how you can remove the invisible new line. Looks good. Okay, now let's say I want to print something like this. Okay, so this is so this is the pattern that we have. Now I want to print a different pattern where I print this star 5 times here. Okay, what do we do now? What do we do? Yes. So yes. So sorry, missed your name. Sangeeta. You're right. Okay. So this is used to print 5 stars. Now, if I want to repeat that 5 star, okay, if I have to repeat these 5 stars 5 times, I will put another for loop here. Okay. And I'm going to say repeat entire thing 5 times. Right? So this is giving us one line. And I want to repeat that line 5 times. So whatever is giving us one line, same line will get repeated 5 times. Whatever we are, okay, we are giving in one line, that needs to be repeated in another line. Pramod, you can type your question in the chat. Okay. So now what happens when we run it? You get 5 into 5, 25 stars. Why do we get in one single line? Because we have said end equal to blank, isn't it? So it is printing in one line. Now, after printing the inner loop, after inner loop is done, before we go to the outer loop, okay, if I have to change the line, correct? So after printing one line, before I print next line, I need to change the line. So I'll say print blank. We know that print will give us print will give us blank line. So you get blank line here. Okay. So when you run it, so you see this. Now this is coming from previous here. So we need to give blank line here also. Okay. So what happened? Inner loop is printing star. Okay. Inner loop is responsible for printing star. Outer loop is responsible for printing same thing 5 times. So actual printing is done by the inner loop, and outer loop is simply repeating that 5 times. Agreed? Okay. So what is happening here? Once you run outer loop, okay, one iteration of outer loop will make 5 iteration of inner loop. So J enters into this loop, and since it is running 5 times, this will print 5 times. Once 5 times is done, then break line, then goes for second round. Again prints 5 times. Break line goes up. Now J is 2, and it goes in again. Okay, it goes in again and prints inner loop 5 times. Yes. Yes, did you understand? Please confirm in the chat. Anku says yes. Pratik says yes. Sangeeta, yes. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So this is how you can print this pattern. Okay. Guys, so there's an announcement in the group. I don't know if you have seen it. We are starting a data science course next week. Okay. So if you guys are interested, you can join the other group. Okay. So the other group is for data science. The details have been posted in the group. Okay. So if you want to, if you're interested in data science learning, okay, you can join the other group. The link is mentioned in the WhatsApp group itself. Okay. Okay. Now let's say I want different kind of pattern. So I want to generate 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. I want to print this pattern. Now tell me, what do you think should be the approach? Okay, I'm reading at your chat messages. Okay, we have to make change in the range, but which range? Okay, so let me copy paste the same code. Now you see, outer loop, I just said, is keeping track of the number of rows, right? J loop is keeping track number of rows, and I is responsible for printing. Is the number of rows different? No. Number of rows is exactly same as the previous one. So if number of rows is exactly same as previous one, if the number of rows is exactly same as the previous one, okay, then the J loop should not change, right? So J loop should not change, isn't it? Why? Because number of rows is same, and J we saw is creating the number of rows. So number of rows will not change. What will change here? Okay, what will change is the printing here. Okay, it is in previous case. Okay, in previous case it was all 5. So we gave 5. Now in this case, okay, it is not going to be 5 all across. It's not going to be 5 all across, isn't it? Sangeeta, what are you writing? Huh? What are you writing? Do we write condition? Do you see me? We have discussed range yesterday. Do you see anywhere I've written less than equal to? Anywhere do you see I've written less than equal to? It is all a comma b comma c. Then why are you writing a less than equal to 5? Range will not use less than equal to. They all have a meaning. They all have a meaning. A has a meaning, B has a meaning, C has a meaning. Okay. So coming back to our discussion here. Okay, we are saying range 5 if we put range 5, it is going to print 5 stars. We're going to repeat this 5 times. So what should happen is when outer loop is 0, when j is 0, you want this to be 1. When j is 1, right, j counting will begin from 0, isn't it? So when j is 0, you want I to be 1. When j is 1, you want I to be 2. When j is 3, you want I to be 4. It's like you want I to be j plus 1. So you simply say here j plus 1. Okay. Now you run it. You get this pattern. Right? Everyone? So this is how, okay, you can make your inner loop variable. So, okay. So see, before you write your program, you have to find the logic. Okay. Just like the first program that we did, right? We wanted to print odd numbers. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. Can we make some kind of relationship between them? Okay, yes, we could make. That is 2i plus 1. 2i plus 1 is the range we are making. Okay, is the formula that we are making. So we can use that same formula to create the new pattern every time you're working on. Okay. Okay, awesome. Now let's test your learning. Okay, I want to, do it little different. Now this time, let me see if you really got it. Okay. I'm going to reverse the pattern. Okay, I want 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want to print this pattern. Now you tell me. How do we get to do that? Let me see. Anku has an answer. I'm looking for more answer. Okay, so Anku, so see again, we have same number of rows. So we are not going to make any changes to the rows. What we need to change is the print here. Now, when j equal to 0, you want to print 5. Okay. When j is 0, you want to print 5 stars. When j becomes 1, you are 4. J becomes 2, 3. J becomes 4, 1. J becomes 5, 0. Right? So see, as you're increasing j, the total number of stars is decreasing. You start with 5 and then you keep subtracting 1 every time j goes on. Yes. Okay, Sangeeta, you are right. It becomes 5 minus j. So you get the star. Okay, super, isn't it? Okay, great. Okay, awesome. I'm looking at your chat messages. Super. Yes. Okay, so what do we do now? Did you understand? Now I'm going to give you assignment. Okay. Assignment is try this at home. Okay. Try this pattern at your on your own. So I will give here. Okay. You have okay. So this pattern. So till now we've been creating right angle triangle. We've been creating right angled triangle. Now I want to create an equilateral triangle or isosceles triangle, whatever you want to call it. Correct? Okay. So this is how most of your for loop examples will be something similar. So when you practice this, you'll be able to design for loop. So when do we use for loop? When we know exactly how many times to run. Okay, how many times to run the for loop. When you know exactly how many times to run the for loop, okay, you will be you should be able to use for loop. Okay. What happens, okay, when you when you do not know, right? Do not know. So what we'll do here, okay, same example, okay. So we'll start with the first example that we had. Okay, we want to print. So when you say give me 10 odd number, so you know you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on, up to 10 odd numbers. So we need to use range 10, right? Now when we don't know, okay, when we don't know, okay, how many, but let's say we know here um how like generate odd numbers until 30. So generate odd numbers until 30. So we don't know between 1 and 30 how many odd numbers are there. We don't know and we don't want to know. What we know is when you generate, it should not be more than 30. It should be less. That means up to 29, right? How do we use it? So I'm going to move this away to new file. Okay. Okay. And instead, let me write a new code. So we're talking about using while, okay, because we don't know how many times. Because we don't know how many times. What we know is, okay, that the total value should not be more than 30. That's all we know. Correct? So, okay, so let's see how we do it. So let's say starting value is 1, correct? Now what we said the missing value, sorry, not missing value, the maximum value should be less than 30. So start, while start is less than 30. So is start, first we said start equal to 1. That's the first odd number, right? Is start, okay, is start more than 30 or is it less than 30? If it is more than 30, we stop. Okay, if it is less than 30, we continue. So what we continue? We continue to print. We continue to print here. Print what? We say print start. Okay, we say print start. Make sense? Now, if I keep printing, what happens? It is 1, right? It goes on forever, right? It becomes an infinite loop. It goes on forever because start is 1 and start is less than 30. So it prints 1, again goes up, again it is less than 30, again it goes down, isn't it? So it keeps going up and down. It keeps going up and down. Okay. Obviously, that's not what we expected. So what we do is, okay, we have to increase the start value by 2. So after 1, next number has to be plus 2. Next number plus 2. Next number plus 2. Right? So you say start plus equal to 2. Okay. So now the start is 1. It goes in. Start 1 is less than 30. Obviously 1 is less than 30. It goes in, prints 1. Now start becomes start plus 2. Start plus equal to 2 means start equal to start plus 2. Is a short notation. It means start equal to start plus 2. Okay, what you see is a short form of this. Okay, so you say start equal to start plus 2, and then it goes up. This is 3, 3 is less than 30, goes in, and it goes on like that. And when you run it, now you see it has printed 1357, and after 29, 29 is less than 30, goes in, prints 29. Now start is 29 plus 2, 31. So it goes up. 31 is less than 30, no, false. So when it is false, it comes out of while loop. Okay, so this is how you generate while loop. So in while loop, we don't know how many times. What we know is what is our last value, final value. Okay, great. So let's take an example. Okay, let's take an example. Okay, another example. I want to find square of values. Okay, so I'm going to let's give some description. I'm saying WAP. WAP stands for write a program. Write a program to print square and cube of given value. Okay, so I want to print square and cube of given value. Okay, so let's do now of given values. So as a user, you keep entering and it'll keep giving you square and cube. So what I'm going to say here, I'm going to say num equal to 0 while num not equal to minus 99. So num is 0. So num is not equal to minus 99, right? It goes in. It goes in. Now I'm saying enter number. So I'm going to say num equal to int of enter number minus 99 to stop. Okay. Now, what I can do is I can put this as outside the loop only. First time, let me put it outside the loop. Okay. So if you enter minus 99 for the first time, it doesn't go inside the loop. It just exits. Okay. So instead of saying num equal to 0, let me take value from the user directly. Okay. So after this, I'm going to print here, print square of the value is, you can say num into num, and cube of, and the cube is num into num into num. Okay. And I need to close this bracket, isn't it? Awesome. Now let's run and see what happens. Oops. I have to convert. Okay. This is num, not That's why it's error. Okay. Int of input. Who will do the input? Or did I miss it? Okay. This is how you read the dynamic value, the value from user. So far we were assigning A equal to B equal to. If you have to read the value from the user, you have to say input. Okay. When you say input, this is how you read the value. Okay, shaded part that you see. This is how you read the value from the user. Input. Input is a function using which you will learn, using which you will get the value from the user, Okay. Now, when you get it, by default, it's going to be a string value. By default, it's going to be a string value. Okay, we want a number, not a string value. Okay, we want a number, not a string value. Correct? So we want a number, number, not a string value. So what do? We convert into integer. So that's why you see this int. Int is reading the value and converting into integer. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to copy this and paste it here as well. Now you run it. You see, says enter number -99. I enter -99. Stopped. Didn't proceed, right? Now let's run it. I say -6. So -6 square is 36 and cube is -216. Enter number. Okay. So I'm saying 90. So 90 square is 8,100 and cube is 7,29,000. Right? I'm done. I can say -99. You see, this is how you can create infinite kind of loop. Okay, where you have a breaking condition, and when the moment you encounter this break condition, okay, your loop becomes, the while condition becomes false and loop will break. So until the condition is true, it will continue. Until the condition is true, your loop will continue. Yes. Okay, any questions so far, guys? Okay, so this is how we build a loop using while. Okay, so now see, so same program. Okay, what we did was we wrote num before because we wanted a value to compare here, isn't it? So I had to write outside while because we needed a value to compare. Okay, and if value is true, you get inside the while. Okay, so now Sangeeta, F is for format string. Okay, we did on the day one. Format string is when you are printing the values inside. Okay, so generally if you don't use, you have to put variable outside the quotation. Quotation is only for text and the variables have to be outside the quotation. Using format string, you can put variable and text together inside quotation. Make sense? That's why, we use format string. Okay. So I was saying that here I'm using num, okay, before because I need some number to check here. And once you enter into the loop, again, you have to read the value. So again, you are using input. So this command we are using twice. This command we are reading it twice, which is not correct from programming perspective. We don't want to read or we don't want to duplicate something more than once. Okay, that's the general rule of programming. So what we can do is I'm going to rewrite the same stuff. See, while works when while is true. So I will directly say while true. Okay. While works when while is true. So instead of giving a condition which is true, directly we can write true. Correct? So directly I have written true. Okay. Now I'm saying num equal to this. Okay. And print this. Okay. Now problem is, if you directly give true, how will it become false? See, if you have a condition, you can make the condition false. But directly if you give a constant true, you can't make condition false. That's the challenge. You can't make it false. When you can't make it false, then you can't come out. So instead what we'll do is we have something called as break. Of course you're right. Okay, true will never throw us out. Okay, true is like it's a fixed value, right? You can't change it, so you can't make it false. So we call this as infinite loop, and you can break infinite loop using what we call as break. So we have a break command in programming, in Python programming, using which you can break this loop. So what I'll do is, once you get this num, I'm going to check if num equal to minus 99, you say break. So if num is minus 99, break will throw you out of the loop. Current loop, that's the job of break. Break will throw you out of the current loop. So we are here num equal to minus 99, break. So if it is break, you know you are thrown out of the loop. Okay. So now when you run it, okay, this is the first while. I'm going to say minus 99. I hit enter. Now see, it comes to second here. So now I'll say 55. Okay. So value is 305, square and cube is this. Now when I say minus 99, it throws out. So same logic we are implementing in different fashion. Okay, so we are not asking a question before the loop, we are asking within the loop. Okay, so how do we get into the loop? We say while true. We say while true, loop is it is infinite kind of thing. Okay, it will anyway get into it, but the challenge comes, how do you come out, right? So there we have to use break to come out of the loop. Okay, so we'll stop here today. Today we have done a lot of examples, right? In for, loop and while. Tomorrow we are not going to meet, guys, okay? Tomorrow I've got something urgent that is planned at the same time. Okay, so some office meeting, so I'll have to skip tomorrow. We'll see you day after. And but for data science course, please join the other group. Okay, the link has been sent in the group. So with that, any question before we end the day? Sangeeta wants to see questions. Yes. Okay. Okay, guys. So we'll end it here for today. And we'll see you tomorrow with more programs, not tomorrow, day after, with more programs. Till then, enjoy, have fun. Take care. Facing performance issues. So if they see that an overall instance is lagging, take care, guys. Bye. See you in the next session.